Welcome to the fifth in this series of videos on using CBT to overcome panic disorder. Although this video can be watched as a standalone, it is better to watch the series from the beginning if you really want to understand how to beat panic disorder. In the last video we talked about how negative thoughts can lead to avoidance behaviours. Avoidance behaviours are a type of safety behaviour. We're going to learn more about these and other types of safety behaviours. We will learn why they are so damaging and how they actually cause more frequent panic attacks. Then we will learn how behaviours fit into the panic cycle, and finally how to reduce safety behaviours. This will involve performing some tasks related to your own safety behaviours. What is a safety behaviour in panic disorder? Safety behaviours are behaviours intended to ensure that the feared catastrophe does not happen. These behaviours may seem useful in the short term, but are damaging over the long term because they increase the frequency and the intensity of future panic attacks. You may remember from video 2 that our fictional friend Annie made a list of her safety behaviours. These are common in panic disorder, and if you suffer from panic attacks, you will very likely recognise some of these behaviours, and may have others that are not on this list. Have a look at these behaviours and see if you can see the logic in them. For example, the water spray is to cool Annie down, because she associates warmth with a panic attack. In the previous video, we saw how negative thoughts led to avoidance behaviours. Now we will see how it also works the other way around. In fact, these are all parts of the panic cycle. So let's have a look at the panic cycle in action. Let's say you're in a supermarket. You suddenly get the thought, I might have a panic attack. This leads to a feeling of anxiety. You start to notice physical symptoms, like an increased heart rate or feeling hot. This leads to a behaviour, a safety behaviour. You look to see how far the exit is. You've completed the first cycle. Now the cycle goes around again. The thought of a panic attack becomes stronger. The anxiety becomes stronger. The heart beats faster or you start sweating. So you perform another behaviour. You loosen your collar or maybe you leave the supermarket altogether. This may or may not bring the panic attack to an end, but the act of leaving the supermarket has reinforced the belief that you will have a panic attack if you go there again. Back home, you decide to start shopping online in the future, a safety behaviour, reinforcing the negative thoughts about both supermarkets and panic attacks. So you see that even after the panic attack, the cycle is still going around. Every time the cycle goes around, it reinforces your belief that panic attacks are dangerous. Let's have a quick recap about why this is. In video 2, we learnt about the limbic system, the part of the brain that deals with danger. The result of leaving the supermarket and switching to online shopping has led to changes in the hippocampus, the part of the brain that learns what is dangerous. The changes mean that you are more likely to have a panic attack if you go to a supermarket again, or anything that looks like a supermarket, or even subconsciously reminds you of a supermarket. The amygdala is now hypersensitive and will send adrenaline, increasing your heart rate in both supermarket situations or any other situations where you fear a panic attack. The more you try to protect yourself from panic attacks, the more hypersensitive the amygdala will become. Your hippocampus will associate more places and situations with danger and trigger more panic attacks. The single most effective way to stop this destructive and life-limiting cycle is to remove the safety behaviours. With the safety behaviours gone, the negative thoughts lose their power, the anxious feelings and physical symptoms become less as the limbic system becomes desensitized, and the beliefs about panic attacks will change. You'll start to believe that they are not dangerous, not to be feared, and therefore do not need safety behaviours. Somebody who has had panic disorder for a very long time will be entrenched in the beliefs that the panic attacks are dangerous and that it is essential that they must perform all their safety behaviours. This makes recovery very difficult. If you are not willing or able to reduce your safety behaviours, your panic attacks will never decrease. So how do you reduce your safety behaviours? So the first thing to do is to make a list of all your safety behaviours. If you struggle, ask a friend or relative what they notice that you do to protect yourself. Although you have learned that safety behaviours make your panic attacks worse, do not attempt to stop them all at once. It will be counterproductive, it will fail, and you will most likely quit. If you look back, you will notice that you introduced your safety behaviours gradually over a period of time. You have to reduce them gradually over a period of time also. Try to eliminate 1 to 2 a month from your list. If you are feeling confident in a few months' time, then maybe eliminate 3 that month. If you are struggling, then maybe limit it to just 1 that month. The important thing is that you reduce them over the long term. Start with the easiest safety behaviour. Maybe you carry a water spray. Leave it at home. Or try not asking about where the exits are before you go somewhere. So you have learned in this video how damaging safety behaviours are. Your logical brain, called the cerebrum, can learn this through this video or from books or from lessons. But the limbic system, the caveman part of the brain, does not listen or learn from conventional teaching. It can only learn from experience. Think of it like learning a sport. You can read books on how to play tennis or football, but you can only really learn it from actively participating in the sport. That's why in cognitive behavioural therapy, we use behavioural experiments. This is the stuff that we try out to test the negative beliefs that drive the safety behaviours. If you can actively experience that your negative beliefs are not real, your beliefs will change. Your behaviours will change, your thoughts will change, and your symptoms will gradually disappear. To perform a behavioural experiment, divide a piece of paper into 4 sections. Choose a negative thought or belief and write this down in section 1. You may need to refer back to the exercises you did in video 3, where you put your negative thoughts on trial. In section 2, state how you will test this belief with an experiment. In section 3, state what you worry will happen based on your negative belief, and how strong your belief is from 1 to 10. Then perform the experiment. Fill section 4 in a few hours after the experiment, when the anxiety from the experiment has passed. State what actually happened and how strong your belief is now after doing the experiment. Here's an example of a behavioural experiment. In section 1 we have thought or belief, which in this case is panic attacks are dangerous and I must fight them. If I just let them run, something terrible will happen, so I must do what I always do. For example, gripping my partner tight, loosening my collar, cover my face, or just get out of the place that I'm in. Whatever you do, substitute it in here for these words. The experiment is, next time I have a panic attack, instead of doing what I usually do, I will use the technique I learned in video 3. I will drop my hands to my side, ensure that none of my muscles are tense, concentrate on my feet, and let the panic flow into the floor and pass. In section 3, you write down what your fear is, what you fear will happen. And in this case, they fear that the panic attack will never stop, or they will have a heart attack or go mad. And their belief in that fear is 8 out of 10. In section 4, they have performed the experiment, and several hours later, they are recording what actually happened. They said, I found it really hard not to do what I usually do, but I did my best. I managed to keep my hands down for at least some of the attack, and brought my attention to my feet a couple of times. My partner timed it, and it was a bit shorter than the last one. I might try it again and see if I can get it to pass even quicker using this technique. Their new belief strength is 5, so that you can see, if I perform the experiment, their belief in this negative thought about the panic never stopping or having a heart attack is reduced from 8 to 3. It is really hard to do these experiments in the middle of a panic attack because you'll forget everything you've learned or just default to what you always do. I recommend you get a panic buddy, a friend or a relative. Get them to watch this video with you. Tell them what experiment you want to do in the next panic attack. When the panic attack happens, they should calmly remind you what to do. If they notice you tensing or bringing your hands to your throat or face or gripping something, they should calmly say, "Just let your hands drop to the side, the panic will pass." Here's another example. Again, use a panic buddy for this if you can. The thought or belief is I will faint if I have a panic attack. The experiment is next time I have a panic attack, I will not sit down or hold on to anyone or anything. I will stay standing to prove to myself that I will not faint. I will also use the technique I learnt in video 3 to lessen the intensity and duration of the panic attack. My fear is that even though everyone tells me I will not faint, I still worry that I will. And my belief strength is 8 out of 10. Now let's look at what actually happened. When I had the panic attack, I struggled to breathe, I felt dizzy, and I really wanted to hold on to something, but I managed to resist. The dizziness and the other symptoms passed, and I did not faint. The strength in this belief has come down from 8 to 4. So the act of not performing the safe behaviours has actually reduced the belief that you will faint. Example number 3 is a scenario where somebody has to go into a place they traditionally try and avoid. It could be a supermarket, a shopping mall, or any building, any place they fear they'll have a panic attack. So what they normally do is they try and get in and out as quick as possible to avoid having a panic attack. So that's the thought and the belief. I need to get in and out as quick as possible to avoid having a panic attack. So the experiment is, if I have to go into a supermarket, shopping mall, whatever it is, I always rush in and out as quick as possible, keeping a close eye on the exit. Instead, I'm going to walk deliberately slowly and not look at the exit. If I feel any panic coming, I will use the technique from video 3 and continue to move as slowly as possible. Their fear is, if I don't rush, I'm more likely to have a panic attack, and the belief strength is 8. After the experiment, what actually happened was, I did feel anxious at first and a bit panicky, but I kept going slowly, and I did not have a full-blown panic attack. I will try this again a few more times. Their belief in the need to rush in and out to avoid a panic attack has now come down from 8 to 5. So we have looked at 3 examples of behavioural experiments designed to change your catastrophic or negative beliefs about panic attacks. Try to create some more experiments of your own. Use your safety behaviours list and your negative thoughts list for ideas. These experiments are not easy, and you may fail to do them, but don't give up. Each time you try them, they will get easier. For example, if you were trying to use the technique shown in video 3 for neutralizing a panic attack, but you found you could not stop gripping onto your partner or onto objects, just try again next time. Maybe next time, just see if you can just grip with one hand and keep the other at your side and relaxed. Break it down into pieces so that it's manageable. Over the next few months, try to reduce your safety behaviours, and also try to perform an experiment about once a month until you run out of ideas. But if you do run out of ideas, there's no reason you can't repeat a previous experiment. It will all help reinforce a new, healthier belief system. Also, carry on putting your negative thoughts on trial, as shown in video 4. The next thing to start is desensitizing, and we'll cover that in the next video, video 6. To make sure you don't miss any new videos, click on the subscribe button.